Welcome back, folks, to another episode of 15 Minutes of College. I'm the Professor Ryan Masters. We're going to be covering time management and goal setting. Let's get into it. So, time management and procrastination kind of go hand in hand. On one side, you have individuals who effectively organize, manage their time, and then on the other, people who simply don't. And there's a myriad of reasons why that is. So when you learn how to adequately divide your time between specific tasks and activities, basically working smarter, not harder, you can get a lot more done in far less time. Even when time is tight and pressures are high, failing to manage your time damages your effectiveness, causes stress, and of course, when we talk about stress and that cortisol level going higher, that hormone, you're more likely to procrastinate. You're more likely to resist doing what you need to do, to putting off tasks. In fact, even the small things start to build up a lot of pressure, a lot of stress, and we delay. We put them off. And that in turn, it creates a self-fulfilling prophecy. We keep doing that. We keep doing that. And then we start to become, really stressed out. We start to experience a lot of anxiety. So, why procrastinate? Well, there are a lot of reasons. We talked about Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Certain things in your life have not yet been addressed. Basic needs, perhaps, safety, shelter needs. You don't have a sense of belonging. You don't have the esteem of either yourself or from friends, family, loved ones. And therefore, you're unlikely to self-actualize. The likelihood goes down drastically as a result. But avoidance is pretty much like the number one issue that comes in when we talk about managing time. I really get nervous. I really get anxious. I avoid this task, and now I start to worry. It's out of sight, out of mind at first, but now I start to worry because it starts to hang over me. The guilt, the pressure. Oh my God, I couldn't have done this thing. It would have taken me 15 minutes, but now it keeps building up. And now this other task I should have addressed doesn't get addressed. And now, once again, we're talking about that self-fulfilling prophecy. It's just too much pressure. So whether it's I didn't study for this test, and now because I didn't manage my time and I'm not organized, when it comes time for the test, I start to worry. I start to freak out a little bit. I didn't do my homework. Okay, well, maybe I can do tomorrow, but I'm dreading it. There's something about it. I keep putting it off, and now I keep putting it off until maybe the decision is taken away from me, right? Late assignment, credit. I don't get full points. Or maybe I might not be able to do it at all. It's just sort of left in the dust. So when you avoid, you're not really taking care of the anxiety. The cortisol, that stress hormone, still there, still builds up. It stays in your system way longer than it should because we're not really doing anything that makes us feel better. It doesn't alleviate the issue. So when it comes to, time management and procrastinating and accomplishing our goals, there's some fictions and there's some facts. One is, it's common sense. Everybody knows how to manage their time, right? No, not even close to being true. If that were true, everyone would be hyper-organized, efficient, and accomplishing all their tasks and fulfilling their goals on a daily basis. Yet we know that's definitely not true. The other problem is discovering the techniques that I really need to know to help me manage my time, to help me get organized. I just don't know where to start. Another myth is there's just not enough time. There's never enough time. Well, we're going to say that lie to ourselves every time that we need to as an excuse. There's just not enough hours in the day. Okay, well, there's 24. We know that. So what are you going to do about it? How are you going to divide your day up? What tasks can you put forth that are the quickest, easiest, most energy efficient tasks? They don't drain me as mentally because we might have multiple classes with multiple assignments, and one class requires a lot of energy, a lot of time, a lot of commitment, both in and out of class, and we find it challenging. Rewarding perhaps, but challenging. Maybe we don't find it rewarding, and we just find it really challenging. So when we devote our time and energy to that task first, we're drained, right? We're beaten up. And now the other class that had an assignment that maybe doesn't require as much time, effort, or energy, we're just not motivated to doing that thing at the moment. And now we jeopardize our ability to accomplish our work. Another myth, I'm avoiding and I'm delaying because I work better under pressure. I need that adrenaline rush. I need to know it's 1 a.m., paper is due at 8 a.m., let's do this. No, that doesn't work, right? Maybe you've done that. A lot of students have done that. I've certainly have done that both in high school and at the collegiate level. There's a problem with that. You start getting addicted to that last minute rush. You start getting addicted because you're producing all these crazy hormones, this adrenaline, the glucose, basically that sugar rush you need. You engage in fight or flight, and now it feels like you're battling against the clock, and you kind of are. And so now you can't even self-motivate without this extreme hormone production. And the worst part is you sacrifice sleep, you sacrifice your health to get this task done that could have been done perhaps even a week ago. This is a big issue that college students, and particularly the college students I teach, cite as being one of their largest issues. But here's one truth. As students, and we're all students of life, in order to effectively manage our busy lives, it is critical to plan those 168 hours in a week. So how many hours will you really need to study to be successful? Well, you might recall from a previous lesson that might vary from class to class. In most situations, for each hour you spend in class, and in college, this is what we call the golden rule. For each hour you spend in class, you should spend a minimum of 2 hours studying. So if you only meet 1 hour in a week for that class, you should at least be willing to study for about 2 hours outside of class. But this is going to be based on establishing level of difficulty, what you can infer from the syllabus and from the instructor, and how the course actually runs. This is actually in a way much easier in college because you get the syllabus, the schedule, and basically everything you're doing from the first session until the last session, and you have access to all that information. Everything's laid out. Where in high school, things are a bit more on a day-to-day basis. You might not be sure what you're doing next session, but in college, you have, to a very large degree, a lot of information that's being given to you about what you're going to be doing on what day, and it's all laid out. So you can plan ahead. You can plan accordingly. But either way, you want to set attainable goals. So this is why we talk about, time management when it comes to goal setting. If you want your goal to be attainable, you have to be able to understand how much of my time do I actually have to invest, because it is an investment. And by having a time management checklist, this helps you to understand the time that you're realistically working with. And this is how you start to achieve your goals. Once you figure out how much time you actually have, you can start to realize whether my goals are unrealistic or they're realistic. Are they practical? Are they impractical? And this helps you reach your goals. So in here, I have an example of a college student of mine who sort of cut up their time. And as you can tell, within a 168-hour week, they only have about 26 hours in the whole week that is available to study. But that might not just be for study. That might not just be for class, because you can already see they've already accounted for several other classes that they're taking this semester, and how many hours in the week they're willing to put in for that class to achieve those A grades. And they do this based on, difficulty and how much time they have access to. What you want to understand is with your flex hours, as we call it, the hours that you have remaining that you can't quite account for in a week, you don't know where that time's really going. These are the hours that you could start putting in to the goal that you claim is important to you. So if you're looking to learn how to play the guitar, no, those 26 hours that's the time you can invest into that activity. So making a study schedule is a big deal. There's a lot of different plans and methods for everyone. There's no one size fits all. The reason why we talk about this is to see what might work for you. But the only way to find out what works for you is by doing it, is by trying the method. You do nothing, you get nothing, you remain nothing. You do something, you get something, you become something. So, find a planner. Maybe it's a digital planner. Maybe it's putting it into a calendar in your phone. Maybe it's a giant poster board. My brother-in-law uses this. He has a gigantic sort of poster board he puts up into his office and into his room at home. And this serves as a reminder to him when he needs to tack something onto it, when he needs to write something onto it, when he's feeling unmotivated or lazy, he just sort of swivels around his chair and he looks at this giant poster board and he says, okay, in those big words that I've written, this is what I need to accomplish by Friday, so that's what I'm going to do. Because he knows he's going to feel terrible and awful if he doesn't get it done, if he doesn't accomplish his goals. Some people need it on a micro level. They just need a quick task, 3x5 card. Some people put it on a little ring. They punch out holes and they put like a ring around them. And once they accomplish the goal of the task, they remove the card from the ring. They crumple it up, very cathartic. This is something that I've accomplished. I've done this. I can destroy this task, and now I can throw it in the garbage. It's done. This gives you a real physical sense of accomplishment. It's kind of a mental hack. And then there's tips. Reviewing class notes after class if possible. A lot of research shows that just by reviewing for 15 minutes after class your notes, your brain has a much higher rate, especially with Cornell method notes, of imprinting and encoding this information than when you were first learning it after class. The review is incredibly important. And that's something we're going to talk more about when we get into memory and how the brain actually learns information. Scheduling 10-minute breaks every hour. An hour might be too much. You have to find out what your limit is. Try half an hour. Try 25 minutes. And, take a 10-minute break if you're, doing a half hour. Some say even 5. Cut it down in half proportionally. If you study for an hour, 10-minute break. If it's a half an hour, 5-minute break. I'm okay with, the 30 minutes and 10 minutes off. Sometimes you really have to take a step back, reflect before you can get right back into the material. Maybe sometimes that reflection gives you a better idea of what you're really trying to accomplish and how you're going to accomplish it more efficiently. But always schedule at times of the day when you're the least tired and when you're the most wired. So other tips on saving time. Don't be a perfectionist. No one's perfect. This sets you up for defeat and it leads to procrastination. We build up a task in our head sometimes way too much. It's got to be perfect. It's got to be right. What's acceptable? What will make you happy? What will make the person that you're delivering this item for happy? Learning to say no is a huge one. People in your life want to hang out. You want to have a good time. But this is where discipline comes in. And discipline equals freedom. Politely reject someone. This will free up more times to do, important tasks. You're going to hang out with somebody, jeopardize your schedule, and then you're going to start to feel a lot of anxiety and angst and even anger at yourself for not addressing issues that are in your life. Prioritize. A to-do list to organize things of importance. What's the easiest, quickest thing that I can do first? Do that, then you move on. We call this the big rocks. Take care of the little things first. Always take care of the little things first. You build up testosterone and motivation when you accomplish tasks. And combine activities. On the way to school, listen to a podcast about or a YouTube video about the subject that you're dealing with. And the benefits of this, you're more productive, you avoid procrastination, you feel less stress, more self-esteem, greater balance of life, you build confidence, and you achieve your goals. Speaking of, we're going to talk about goals right now. We're going to plan them out.